We are going to discuss the topics carpal bones, anatomical snuff box, and palmar aponeurosis. Fine. So the first topic is carpal bones. Okay. So regarding the carpal bones, sometimes image-based question may be asked. Okay. So they may label any one of the 8 carpal bones, and they may ask which of the following carpal bone has been marked in the diagram. Like that. Otherwise, they may ask the peculiar feature of the marked carpal bone. Like that, the question may be asked. Okay. The carpal bones are arranged in 2 rows, proximal row and distal row. Fine. And what are the 4 carpal bones present in the proximal row? As we see here in this diagram, this is lateral side, this is medial side, because this is the thumb, which has 2 phalanges. Fine. Proximal phalanx and distal phalanx. Okay. So when you move from lateral to medial, okay, we have to remember the order. From lateral to medial, the 4 carpal bones of the proximal row are, okay, you will be knowing the mnemonic, isn't it? C looks too pretty. C looks too pretty. Try to catch her. Okay, this is the mnemonic usually told for remembering the 8 carpal bones in order. Okay, so when I move from lateral to medial in the proximal row, see the diagram, we have 4 carpal bones. The mnemonic is C looks too pretty. Okay, the 4 carpal bones of proximal row. C is representing scaphoid bone. S is representing scaphoid bone. Okay, followed by L, that is lunate bone, lunate, followed by triquetrum bone, triquetral. Finally, the medial most carpal bone of the proximal row is pisiform, pisiform. Okay, and coming to the distal row, in the distal row also we have 4 carpal bones. Again from lateral to medial, the 4 carpal bones are, I told you the mnemonic as try to catch her, isn't it? Try to catch her. Okay, so the T's are representing the trapezium bone. Okay, trapezium followed by trapezoid, trapezoid. Okay, then we have C and H representing the capitate and hamate, capitate and hamate. Okay, so I hope you are clear about the 8 carpal bones which are arranged in 2 rows. Proximal row, what are the 4 carpal bones from lateral to medial, and in the distal row, what are the 4 carpal bones again from lateral to medial, isn't it? Fine. Now, if the question is asked like which is the lateral most carpal bone of the proximal row, which is the medial most carpal bone of the proximal row, distal row, like that, if you you should be able to answer. Okay, if you know the arrangement of carpal bones order, you will be able to answer which is the medial most, which is the lateral most carpal bones of the proximal row and distal row. Fine. Now let's talk about the peculiar features of the carpal bones which are frequently asked in entrance exams. Okay, what are the peculiar features of the various carpal bones? Okay, so when I talk about the most commonly fractured carpal bone, any idea which is the most commonly fractured carpal bone among the 8 carpal bones? Yes, scaphoid. Okay, scaphoid bone fracture is very common. Okay, very common comparatively. Okay, so the most commonly fractured carpal bone is scaphoid. Fine. And if the question is most commonly dislocated carpal bone, what should be your answer? Which is the most commonly dislocated carpal bone? Exactly, lunate bone. Lunate dislocation is very common. Okay, and answer my question, which is the largest carpal bone, as well as first carpal bone to ossify? Any idea? Which is the largest carpal bone and the first carpal bone to ossify? Ossify means formation of bone, ossification. Okay, any idea? Exactly. The answer is capitate. Capitate. Okay. Capitate is the largest carpal bone as well as first carpal bone to ossify in our body. Fine. And if the question is which is the smallest carpal bone? Smallest carpal bone. Okay. And also it is the last carpal bone to ossify. Last carpal bone to ossify. Any idea? Exactly. Pisiform. Pisiform is the smallest carpal bone as well as last carpal bone to ossify. Fine. And can you tell me, among the 8 carpal bones, which is the only sesamoid carpal bone? Which is the only sesamoid carpal bone? Yes, exactly. The answer is pisiform. Pisiform is the only sesamoid carpal bone. Is it fine? Pisiform is the only sesamoid carpal bone. Okay. So all these things I want you to remember. Most commonly fractured carpal bone, dislocated carpal bone, largest carpal bone, first carpal bone to ossify, smallest carpal bone and the last carpal bone to ossify, which is the only sesamoid carpal bone. Fine. And some other things we have to remember here. I told you the most commonly fractured carpal bone is scaphoid, isn't it? Some other questions related are, what is the most common site of fracture of scaphoid? In scaphoid bone, what is the usual site of fracture in scaphoid bone? Anybody? Yes, it is waist of scaphoid. The particular part of the scaphoid is called as waist of scaphoid bone. Is it okay? And if there is fracture of the waist of scaphoid, what will be the site of fracture? Anybody? Waist of scaphoid fracture leads to, okay, avascular necrosis, AVN. That means avascular necrosis of which part of scaphoid bone? I will give you 2 options. Is it proximal part or distal part of scaphoid? That's my question. Yes, avascular necrosis of proximal part of scaphoid. Okay, it is not distal part of scaphoid, it is proximal part of scaphoid. Okay, please remember, because the scaphoid bone receives blood supply from distal to proximal direction, distal to proximal blood flow. So if there is fracture of the waist of scaphoid bone, it will lead to avascular necrosis of the which part of the scaphoid bone? Proximal part of scaphoid bone. Fine. Now, I told you the most commonly dislocated carpal bone is lunate. Lunate. Okay. So, any idea about the clinical feature of dislocation of lunate bone? If there is lunate dislocation, what will be the clinical feature? It may lead to one clinical condition. You will be knowing that because already we have discussed in the day before yesterday's session. Anybody? Yes, exactly. The lunate dislocation may cause compression of median nerve. Okay. The lunate dislocation may cause compression of lunate dislocation. Okay. May cause compression of median nerve within the carpal tunnel leading to what? Exactly. Carpal tunnel syndrome. Carpal tunnel syndrome. Fine. Okay. And I told you the only sesamoid carpal bone is pisiform. Okay. You know the meaning of sesamoid carpal bones, right? Those small bones which ossify in the tendons of certain muscles. Okay. So pisiform is ossified within the tendon of which muscle? That is the question. Another question. The answer is flexor carpi ulnaris tendon. Okay. Pisiform is formed, ossified within the tendon of flexor carpi ulnaris tendon. Flexor carpi ulnaris, FCU. Okay. And I told you the last carpal bone to ossify is pisiform. Okay. And possible question is by the age of, at what age the pisiform gets ossified, is formed? In idea? Yes, by the age of 10 to 12 years. Okay. 10 to 12 years of age. That time only pisiform will be formed. Is it fine? So take care of the peculiar features of the various carpal bones. Okay. Fine. Now, let's move to the next topic. The topic is palmar aponeurosis. Okay. Actually, you are seeing the palm. We are seeing the palm in this diagram. This is lateral side. This is medial side. Are you able to see one triangular shaped structure which is formed at the middle of the palm? One triangular shaped structure. That is nothing but this one. I am talking about this one. This is the palmar aponeurosis. Palmar aponeurosis. Okay. And remember, this palmar aponeurosis is the continuation of one tendon from the forearm, front of forearm, namely palmaris longus tendon. Okay. So palmar aponeurosis is the continuation of palmaris longus tendon. Okay. Palmaris longus tendon. Is it okay? Fine. And one more important thing about the palmar aponeurosis is, okay, you are able to see it is the continuation of palmaris longus tendon, I told you. Okay, if there is inflammation, okay, if there is inflammation, otherwise you can say if there is thickening and contracture, which is due to inflammation of the palmar aponeurosis, it will lead to one clinical deformity called as, anybody, any idea? What is the clinical condition or clinical deformity which is due to the inflammation of palmar aponeurosis? This diagram is showing one clinical condition called as, exactly, Dupuytren's contracture. Okay, Dupuytren's contracture. Okay, so this may be asked as a image based question. Okay, this may be asked as an image based question. Okay, what is the clinical deformity called as? Otherwise, this clinical deformity is due to inflammation of which of the following structure? Like that question may be asked. Okay. So in Dupuytren's contracture, there will be flexion deformity of fingers. The affected fingers will undergo flexion deformity. Affected fingers will undergo flexion deformity. And another possible question from this topic, palmar aponeurosis, that is Dupuytren's contracture, which is the most common finger affected in this condition called as Dupuytren's contracture. Anybody? The most common finger affected in Dupuytren's contracture is ring finger. Okay, ring finger, little finger, both may get affected. Okay, commonly, but most common finger affected in Dupuytren's contracture is ring finger. Okay. So these are the things I want you to know regarding the palmar aponeurosis. It is the continuation of palmaris longus tendon. Okay. And you will be knowing palmaris longus tendon passes superficial or deep to the flexor retinaculum of the wrist. Yes, it is the only tendon which passes superficial to the flexor retinaculum. Okay. It passes superficial to the flexor retinaculum of the wrist. Fine. Okay. And we have studied when we talked about the intrinsic muscles of the hand, what is the peculiar feature of the muscle you are seeing here? Palmaris brevis. Exactly. It is the only muscle in the palm supplied by superficial branch of ulnar nerve. It is the only muscle in the palm supplied by superficial branch of ulnar nerve, isn't it? And why it is supplied by superficial branch of ulnar nerve? Because it is a superficial muscle. It is a subcutaneous muscle. Okay. Otherwise, we can say it is an example for panniculus carnosus. Fine. Okay. Let's move to the last topic of today's session. That is, okay. So we were talking about the carpal bones, important questions related to the carpal bones, followed by palmar aponeurosis, right? So the last topic of today's class, today's session is, any idea about the area you are seeing here marked in red color? What is that landmark called as? Exactly, it is called as anatomical snuff box. Okay, the triangular shaped depression you are seeing in this image, that red color triangular shaped depression is called as anatomical snuff box. Fine. Okay, can you tell me the location of the anatomical snuff box? Anybody? What is the location of the anatomical snuff box? Yes, the anatomical snuff box is located, okay, it is located on the lateral side of the wrist. Anatomical snuff box is located on the lateral side of wrist. Okay, and you will be able to see the anatomical snuff box only when the thumb is extended. Okay, you have to extend the thumb. Okay, when the thumb is extended or hyper extended, then only you will be able to see the triangular shaped depression called as anatomical snuff box. Okay, so when the thumb is hyper extended at the lateral side of the wrist, you will be able to see the anatomical snuff box. Fine. Now we have to know the boundaries, contents, and applied aspect of the anatomical snuff box, which are frequently asked in MCQ questions. Okay, so when we talk about the boundaries of anatomical snuff box, you can see in this diagram they have shown the right hand, isn't it? They have shown the right hand anatomical snuff box in this diagram. Okay, so right now I am marking the area called as anatomical snuff box. The green color area I am marking now. Okay, The green color area I have marked just now. Okay, let me mark in black color. Do you see one triangular shaped depression here? Right? This is the area called as anatomical snuff box. Fine. So coming to the boundaries of anatomical snuff box, it will be having anterior, okay, or lateral, otherwise anterolateral, anterior or lateral or anterolateral boundary will be formed by two tendons, fine, namely abductor pollicis longus tendon and extensor pollicis brevis tendon, as you see here, okay, APL, abductor pollicis longus, and EPB, extensor pollicis brevis, both the tendons together, okay, both these tendons together, they form anterior, otherwise lateral or anterolateral boundary of the anatomical snuff box. Fine. And do you see one tendon here? I am marking now. This is the posterior or medial or postero-medial boundary of the anatomical snuff box. Posterior or medial or postero-medial boundary of the anatomical snuff box. What is the name of the tendon I am talking about, forming the posterior or medial or postero-medial boundary? Exactly, EPL, extensor pollicis longus tendon. Okay, so please take care of this topic, anatomical snuff box. The anterior or lateral or anterolateral boundary will be formed by the two tendons, namely APL and EPB tendons. Fine. Okay. Posterior or medial or postero-medial boundary will be formed by only one tendon, that is extensor pollicis longus tendon, EPL tendon. Fine. Okay. Other than these two boundaries, anterolateral and postero-medial boundaries, we have to remember what are the structures forming the roof and the floor of the anatomical snuff box. Okay. Roof will be formed by obviously skin and superficial deep fascia. Fine. And one more important thing is the roof of anatomical snuff box, okay, contains two important structures. The roof of anatomical snuff box contains two important structures. One is superficial branch of radial nerve. Another one is one vein, one superficial vein, namely cephalic vein. Okay, so superficial branch of radial nerve and the cephalic vein both are present in the roof of the anatomical snuff box. Is it fine? What about the floor of the anatomical snuff box? Floor is formed by the, anatomical snuff box is located on the lateral side of the wrist, isn't it? So the lateral most carpal bones of the proximal row and the distal row, namely scaphoid and the trapezium. Okay, both these bones, both these lateral most carpal bones of the proximal row and distal row, they will be forming the floor of the anatomical snuff box. Fine. And any idea about the only content of the anatomical snuff box? Which is the only content of the anatomical snuff box? Exactly, radial artery. Fine. Radial artery is the only content of the anatomical snuff box. Okay. So in image based question, they may ask which structure forms the boundary, any boundary they may ask. Otherwise, what is the content of the marked area? Like that they may ask. The only content of the anatomical snuff box is radial artery. Radial artery. Fine. Then finally, coming to the applied aspect of the anatomical snuff box, the content is radial artery, isn't it? So within the anatomical snuff box, you can easily palpate the pulsations of the radial artery. Okay. You can palpate the pulsations of the radial artery. Then, in the roof of the anatomical snuff box, we have one vein, namely cephalic vein. Okay. So cephalic vein can be used for the purpose of intravenous injection. Okay. Cephalic vein within the anatomical snuff box can be used for giving intravenous injection, IV injection. Okay. And scaphoid and trapezium, both carpal bones are forming the floor of the anatomical snuff box. And the most commonly fractured carpal bone is scaphoid. So if there is fracture of the scaphoid bone, fine, the tenderness will be palpated. Tenderness will be palpated, or tenderness will be present within the anatomical snuff box. Tenderness will be present within the anatomical snuff box. Okay. So this is about the location, boundaries, then content and applied aspects of the anatomical snuff box. Okay. So all the topics we have discussed today, like carpal bones, then palmar aponeurosis, then anatomical snuff box, all these three topics may be asked as image based question. Otherwise, the questions may be asked directly. Okay. So take care of all the topics we have discussed today. Okay. So thank you all. That's the end of today's session. Thank you all.
Best training, peaceful environment, PG medical entrance exam preparation were my expectations. I got them at Speed Medical Village in Kanchipuram. Today, I am a PG topper.
Speed Medical Village, a unique eco-friendly campus dedicated for PG preparation. Speed Medical Institute, a complete solution for medical education.